It was a record complaint, they told us, as far as noise. In 15 seconds, they got their first noise complaint. They said that was a record. They let us get through the first set. We were supposed to play a second set. And they're like, you know what, guys? No, you're out time. We can't. They're like, you guys got to go.
You're listening to 2020, and Siobhán was going to try to do the intro, but she's in the middle of New Mexico trying to bake fucking crystal meth like Breaking Bad style. So I'm just going to get right to the fucking meat and potatoes because Matt actually says that. Our guest, Matt Bachand, who came out of fucking recluse. He lives in a basement like me in a studio making music for other people like Carnivora and happens to play in a band called Shadows Fall, happens to play in a band called Defiance, happens to play in a brand new band with John Dene from Shadows Fall and Anthrax called Living Wreckage, and he's doing reunion shows with Shadows Fall. I'm Benny Goodman, and I'm here with 2020 with Cory Peza and Siobhán with no shitty fucking internet. Was that good? Did I do that? That was like one
Sorry,
breath.
guys.
Siobhán, what did you think about the episode?
Just roll the beautiful bean
Well,
footage.
you
Can you
both
show
are coming in at
80s
the
Kiss?
same. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what's happening because I'm like literally bouncing up and down in this tour bus as we're riding through New Mexico. Maybe you guys are hearing me 10 seconds late, but I thought it was an awesome episode.
We are.
Well, as long as you're
Man, I just
spotting,
got kicked
it's
off.
fine that you're late.
Great.
Oh my god. Just roll the episode, part 2 with Matt. Hello and welcome back to another episode of 2020. My name is Cory Peza, here as always with a very bright yellow Benny Goodman.
Help.
And,
This is actually a shirt from Dan Hartwell that he sent me from Beatles on the Beach, so I want to say thank you to Daniel Hartwell, who did Loco Bazooka, and for the free
Former
shirt.
guest on the podcast.
Yeah, actually,
Yes.
I walked into to the kitchen this morning, and my 16-year-old said, "Who's the fucking cone that came off the street?" And I was like, "Thanks."
That's
Way
clever.
to
I
hijack
like
the
it.
intro.
And also joining us, we have Siobhán Cronin, who's somewhere, I believe, in New Mexico at the moment on the
Albuquerque.
Starset tour bus.
Glad to be here, guys.
And most importantly, we are so happy to welcome back Matt Bachand of Shadows Fall, Active Defiance, Living Wreckage, guy that we've all been listening to. We've all been listening to. At least I know Ben and I, for a long time.
If you like metal and you're from Boston,
yeah,
it's kind of like you like the Red Sox or Patriots. Like you're supposed to like it. Like you have to love Shadows Fall. You have to love Killswitch Engage. You have to love the Godsmack, the fucking Stained. Like even if you don't, everyone knows a guy named Sully. Like fuck, your bass guy was Sully. Like there's 75 Sullys. I mean, but we're from Massachusetts, so like everyone's named Sully, even the dude from Godsmack.
That's true.
Anyways, so thank you, Matt, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Matt, for coming back. And I apologize in advance.
Why did I come back?
Good question.
80s Kiss.
80s Kiss. So yeah, in part 1, we got some great stories about tour life, 80s Kiss, which you'll have to go back and check out episode 1 with Matt for that.
Joey Jordison.
Yeah, a lot of great stories in there. To fill in some of the gaps on this episode, as the other guys mentioned. So, I didn't grow up with metal. I grew up in classical music. So I'm kind of learning as we go with every guest, and it's really great to hear all these stories. I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit about, maybe for the listeners that don't know you, the formation of Shadows Fall, how that got started. I'm always interested in how people get going on new projects, and we kind of talked a bit about it in the last episode, but I'm curious to hear about the early days, how it came together.
Before I forget, I also am a classical guy, or new age more. I've seen Yanni live 4 times. That's something that people don't know about me.
Nice.
Yanni 4 times. People are like, Yanni, the guy with the mustache? Yeah, the guy with the mustache. He's awesome.
Awesome.
Anyway, well, with Shadows, like I mentioned in the last episode, I was in a death metal band called Exhumed up around here. Not the Exhumed that people know today that's Unrelapsed, is out from California. It's not the same band. This was just a little local band that was doing. And we were playing shows with Aftershock, which is a band that John was in with Adam Deep and Killswitch, and they were in high school. And they were doing pretty much like straight edge hardcore kind of stuff. We were doing brutal death metal, and we always ended up on the same gigs, became friends, hung out all the time. And John wanted to do what John wanted to do. He's a huge 80s fan, like I am as well. Like 80s hair metal stuff, we love it. You know, we love Dokken and Rat and Cinderella and all those bands. It would just.
Well, you guys used to play in Metal 101, didn't you? Like
No. We did
Metal 1. It was
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai. Jesus Christ. I apologize. Our mutual friend Mark Lopes. I can't even keep
but
all.
not before the movie. I saw him the other day. He was at the Living Wreckage show the other night. Yep.
I love Mark, the Mr. Orange Picker, but that guy has so many projects between Metal 101, Ross the Boss, he's playing with KK Downing, Let Us Pray. I can't fucking keep it in my mind. I remember seeing Cobra Kai at Mohegan Sun at the Den, and you guys fucking murdered Face, and John came out and just Jakey Lee'd the fuck out of some Bark at the Moon, and you guys were just outrageously righteous.
I don't know how we didn't get shut down that night.
Dude, I don't either. That was a righteous show.
We did get shut down at a casino one night, and I'll remind me of that after I finish this question. But remind me of that one. Twin River in Rhode Island.
Oh,
I think so Cobra Kai is playing.
Remind me about that.
You got it. I will.
Okay.
With Mark Lopez.
Well, no, we were talking about the origins of Shadows Fall and how that was coming up. Well, it was simply like John had some demos he wanted to do more. He didn't really like hardcore too much. He was playing with those guys, and he had some stuff he wanted to do a metal band, and he did some demos with Adam. And he showed me some of these things, and I said, "Hey, that sounds great. Let's collaborate." And that's essentially how it started. And then we went through multiple lineups we brought in just some of our good friends who. Mark Liberty, who was our original bass player from it. He also was in Aftershock. We all went to school together. We still all hang out together all the time. And a couple other guys to just kind of get it going. And eventually we found the right people. We landed on the right lineup. And our buddy Dave Germain, who now lives in Amsterdam, he plays in a band called Jaya the Cat over there, who is huge over there. They're absolutely kicking ass. And they're more like I could call them like a Sublime kind of, like one jam band kind of thing. And that was always his wheelhouse. He was never really, he liked metal, but he was never a metalhead. And I remember hanging out with him on the sidewalk in Northampton one day, and we were talking about what we're doing. We would just always just kind of hang out downtown and drink coffees and talk about music and whatever else. And I remember just being fidgety, like on the sidewalk, literally just being fidgety, like with his legs. And I'm like, dude, you probably pay double bass pretty fast, right? And you're like, I don't know, maybe. Like, you want to try? And then so I enlisted him into this. The Dave Germain that everyone around here knows as the Knife was when he was around here. Now he's the Germ over in Europe. But
the Knife to the Germ.
And we
that's nice.
Yeah. Well, he gave himself the name The Knife, which was a great. So we are on a way to show him from.
Are you allowed to give yourself your own name though? Is that okay?
Yes, he is.
So in this case, wait, can you explain to me how you can give yourself your own name? Because I feel like that's not. It's like calling yourself Slash and being like Bono, call me Slash.
Okay. It was about 105 degrees this day. We were going to a show in, I think, Vermont, one of our early gigs. And he had one of those old station wagons with the wood paneling on the sides, like, one of those National Lampoon's Vacation style. And it was just hot as hell. And he was all unshaven, looking sketchy. He had no shirt on. We pull into a 7-Eleven. He's got his arm out the window with a cigarette, and he turns. And I'm in my car. And he's right there. And he turns out, looks at me, and he goes, I am the Knife. So if you can picture that, that's what happened.
Sold.
That's all I need to know.
Now everyone knows the origin stories of the Knife. Put that on Wikipedia. On the Jaya the Cat Wikipedia page. And I'm sure he would not appreciate it. He probably would.
You cite your source and it's 2020. That's a bad.
Right,
I'm going to tag him in this when this goes live. I'm going to make sure he watches this and laugh his ass off. I love that guy. Anyways, so yeah, we just kept plugging away, playing whatever we could, wherever we could. We knew a lot of the people that ran the clubs around here, like people like Scott Lee and stuff. Was a really old friend of mine, really good friend of mine, and
Palladium in Worcester. Right,
but he was doing show. Now I was working at a club called Pearl Street, Northampton, and he was booking there. And even before that, the place Katina's that I used to play shows at when I was a kid. He was like a bouncer there, so I've known him forever. And so anytime the Nationals would come through or whatever, he's like, all right, this has potential. Let's go. So we'd put us on a show. We're lucky enough to open for Emperor at the Palladium, which is crazy because they only came here like once, and then I think people got sick of seeing us because they're like, oh Jesus, every national band I go see, the freaking Child's Fall.
Well, it's funny you say that because
people got sick of it.
I grew up in Worcester, Massachusetts, and I remember Scott Lee. I remember going to shows and seeing like Rob Noxious, who's a photographer, walking around, and Scott Lee, and being like, who are these dudes? They're at every fucking show. And I remember specifically internalizing that John was an amazing guitarist. He was like the first guy locally in the scene, and that's because every week you go to the Palladium, and whatever band was opening, you guys would be opening, and I'd be sitting to myself, why am I even bothering selling tickets to the show of Loco Bazooka when I can just be in Shadows Fall? And then I realized I'll never play as good as John Dene or be Jason Bittner or you or fucking Brian with giant fucking dreadlock. So like, you know what? That's why I'm here hosting a show.
Well, we got very lucky that, a lot of our inner circle was a part of that, and because I worked at those clubs and I did all these things, and even Paul Romenko was in a ton of old hardcore bands in Western Mass that were connected, and they just knew everybody. You did Bloodbath back in the day, and Push Button Warfare, and even with Zeus, the producer, he was in Push Button Warfare. So we're all so incestuous together, and this whole scene was just this big, crazy bee's nest that everyone helped each other out, and it never seemed like you're doing somebody a favor. It just seemed like the thing to do. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to hook you up and you owe me something or whatever. It was just, hey, let's do that, So we were really lucky in that respect, because I know a lot of scenes are not like that. A lot of it's one of those like, oh, well, if you play here and you sell 50 tickets, then you do me a favor and I'll do you a favor, and it was never really like that here.
Sure. That's something that like a lot of people I think have mentioned, is the importance of sort of your circle or your network of connections of people that you've worked for, and how people help each other, just people that you meet even on tour or doing festivals or whatever. A lot of those relationships prove to be really important in the long run in building your career. So it's really amazing how important it is to foster those things from early on.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And even to this day, Scott Lee's responsible for making the Shadows Fall reunion happen. Not that I don't even like calling it a reunion, to be honest. We just kind of stopped playing. We didn't, it's not like we got some we didn't get in some big fight. We didn't there's no bad blood. It was just one of those things where, life got in the way. A couple guys had kids and got married, and we weren't really making enough money to justify them not being home to raise their children. And
hold on a second.
Let him finish. Let him
very
finish.
Important, because
I'll let him jump in, because he might ask the question. If he doesn't, then I'll shut him up.
Because I was saying that there's a lot of people, and I know this because you guys played so many great shows. I saw you guys played. The Palladium holds, I think, 2,700 people at the upstairs.
2,560, actually.
Okay, 2,560. So a lot of people. That's a lot of people when it's fucking full. And that place is falling apart, and people were falling from the rafters. And I saw you guys at least 10 times during your heyday, like playing at that place. And I remember thinking you guys were rock stars. And the truth is, and you say you go on tour with Slipknot, you go on tour and you played with Damageplan and all these bigger bands, you're crescendoing, and yet you didn't stop because the Eagles Hotel California, Don Feldner's angry at this, or Bono or Noel Gallagher or anything. You just stopped because life got in the way, but also money. Because people don't realize in metal, where even though you might be playing the Ozfest main stage, are you paying your electric bill? Can you tell people the reality of what it's like to be in a band, even at that level, and still have to walk away from music because it doesn't financially make sense on a business level?
Yeah, I think people it's show business just like any other side of show business, okay? So essentially, it's smoke and mirrors, right? Mm-hmm. The bigger you present yourself, the bigger, the bigger the light show, the bigger the stage production, the bigger the whatever, it gives this sense of, man, this is massive. Oh my God, these guys are superstars, blah, 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 blah. So something as simple as someone looking and go, oh, you're in a tour bus instead of a van? Wow, you guys made it. It's like, no, that thing costs $1,000 a day. We didn't make shit.
Yeah, that's so true.
I just don't want to.
As Siobhán sits on her totally posh tour bus.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, no, I just don't want to drive a van, and I want somewhere to sleep because I'm old. Like, that's what it is.
Right.
It's like, I'd rather sacrifice the money I'm going to go home with to be comfortable, doing what you do, but but that really is, it's a game of smoke and mirrors, as you know.
Yeah.
If you just went up there, and just played your song at a dive bar and did your thing, it wouldn't nearly come across as it does with all the smoke machines and strobe lights and all this stuff. That makes a difference. It's
Ask Starset. Tell Siobhán about it.
Absolutely. No, I'm totally agree with you. Yeah.
All of your senses work together to create this experience that the fan has that makes them wanting to go back for more and essentially spend more money, buy your t-shirts, do your thing, which keeps you moving. But in order to do that, it's so expensive because the bus is just a bus, and then you got to pay for the gas, and then you got to put the driver in a hotel room, and then you got to pay for your crew, and then you got to pay all these things. Then your manager gets a cut, and your booking agent gets a cut, and your business manager gets a cut, and before you know it, you go home and you made $300 a week, and the tour grossed like $200,000, and you go, what the hell happened?
So wait, that begs the question: you have a new band, Living Wreckage. Mm-hmm. Why are you such a masochist?
All right, so apparently you're not denying this.
No, I'm not. He's not wrong. He's not.
No, because
wrong.
I love music. He's a lifer.
Well,
and that's what it is. Is that
100%? But we want to get into Living Wreckage, but I want to really dive deep into that. And we were still. I want to touch base on the Shadows Fall reunion that I think everyone listening wants to know about.
Still waiting for
Shadows Fall, not reunion, right? The Shadows Fall just getting back together to play a kick-ass show at the Palladium in December.
Since Jason Bittner's only been like overkill. Excuse me.
Well, that was the whole thing. Like I was saying, is family life gets in the way. Brian's got kids and a wife only at home, and so does Paul, and you could never get upset at somebody for pulling off the road for something like that, because that, especially when you're just not making enough money. I mean, if we were bringing home a couple $100,000 a year, then go out and do it and provide your family and then deal with it later. But especially at that point when they're all young and this and that, I get it. And then, of course, John got the offer with Anthrax, and I get that too, because I would have taken it as well. These are things that you just can't get. And I didn't want to keep going with fill-in players. It's one of those things that just it just doesn't. People wouldn't get it. I don't think they would accept it. And I wouldn't want to ruin the brand like that. So if you're going to do something new and you want to keep pushing it, you rebrand it, you do something different. Will we probably play more shows than this one reunion show? Yeah, probably. Are there any plans for that right now? No.
Well, I know that just from talking to John the last time, if he has to relearn all these songs, he's going to do more than one show, because he was very upset about the idea of having to relearn these songs.
He was like, I was mowing my lawn, and then this song came up, and he'll screen shoot a Shadows Fall song, and he'll be like, didn't know I wrote this. That's cool.
Yeah.
Hope I can remember how to play.
I've done that quite a bit myself lately.
But if you read interviews with Eddie Van Halen, he would say oh man, I have to go back and listen to my records, because he'd forget his riffs. And isn't that amazing? He forgot Atomic Punk, and then he has to go back and listen to himself and relearn it. But that's how I feel. There's people that care about Shadows Fall so much that they probably know your songs better than even you do. So at this point,
it's because they hear them more than we do. Now, I'm one of those people that when the record's done and you finally got the final master back and you listen to it, it sounds good and you're happy with it and it's pressed, done, I never listen to that song again. I hear it when we play it on the road. I don't put it on in my car and rock out to it. I just don't. You move on, you do something else. So that's why. But the fans are always listening to it. They're listening to it all the time. That's why they are more familiar with it than we are. Because especially having not played a show in 7 or 8 years, I haven't heard those songs in 7 or 8 years.
So how did this come about? Because when we talked to John just a few months ago, I mean, I don't know if he was just being coy, but he seemed to be legitimately I don't even want to think about trying to learn these songs.
It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a struggle, because it's not simple stuff.
It's almost like a war within.
Dig into the earlier catalog. If we're going to do some Of and Blood stuff, which we will.
But whose idea was where did it come from to actually get it going?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe that Scott Lee actually ran into Paul at work, and and said, hey, we should do a Shadow's Fall show. And then we just got a group text going. And it was like, hey, you guys want to do a show? I'm like, oh, all right. I mean, it was literally like the matter of just simply getting an offer to do one. And we're like, well, when? Because we obviously, if we're going to do it, it's not going to be fill-in guys. No, it's not like all original members, but the original members that people know, like the core band of the important era of the band from 2000 and when the hell did Bittner come in? 2002, I think, 2002 onward. That's what people want to see. So we're not going to do it when no one's available, and obviously John's Anthrax obligations are way more important than this. So we're going to make sure that he's off, and then Jason's got Overkill, and he's got to make sure that he's off. So it's just a matter of timing, and we were going to do it last December, but then COVID. So that all that got shut down before we even had time to announce the show. So we just kind of put it to rest, and then when things started opening again.
So John was playing dumb with us.
Well, that's my concern right now, and I was just telling somebody today about this. I said, if they start canceling shows again, they better tell me right now, because I don't want to go through all this work.
Oh my gosh,
and then not have to do it. Like, you know what? If it does get canceled, okay, it gets canceled, but tell me before I do all the work, because I got other things to do.
Yeah,
I got to mow my lawn and stuff. I got fish to feed. I
can't imagine. Yeah, like, I mean, that many years. I mean, even us being off for whatever 18 months because of COVID. Some of us came back, and like my brain expelled. Like, we would start the track, and I'm like, wait, what song is this?
Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like a long time. And it didn't really feel like a long time, but then there it is. And, oh shit, what was that? And here we are. And so, I mean, we're going to do our best, and we haven't even rehearsed yet. We haven't gotten in the room together. We've been kind of talking about songs or certain ideas or things, but really on a very rudimentary level, nothing in depth at all. So, and we're going to start doing that soon, I think, in the next couple of weeks. John's got some stuff. I think he's at Sturgis tonight, actually. So he's doing some Anthrax stuff. And when he gets back from that, then we're going to get together right here in my little basement place. It's very different than when you saw it, Penny. It's I built a stage. I put a lighting truss up. I lost my damn mind.
You still have an awesome studio and everything.
I built a bar with 4 beers on tap on the other side. It's nuts. It's
hell yeah.
That's awesome.
That's great, man.
I built a nightclub in my basement.
Well, hold on.
Funny?
So let's talk about that.
Quick. So one of the quotes from John in the last episode was, "You know what? I just want to jam with my buddies and drink some beer in a basement." That was line for line exactly what he said. Was he talking about your place?
Just so you know, I did the same thing.
Absolutely. Just talking about this place.
My drummer and I, we said from the very beginning of COVID we were going to just be isolated together, and because he's like really antisocial and I'm antisocial, I'm like, dude, if we don't play together, I'm gonna fucking hang myself a guitar string.
I'm sorry, did you say you're antisocial?
Believe it or not, dude, like I actually have social anxiety. I'm social this way, but I go out and like people are like, why are you all weird? I'm like, I fucking hate this. I want to go home now.
Oh, you're weird for a lot of reasons, dude.
Yeah, I'm very.
Not the only one.
Yeah. I'm very.
You're social in a virtual interface, but whenever it's like in person, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. You know, so but Paul and I.
Oh, if we were all face to face, I wouldn't say a word.
But Paul and I, like,
I've had magazines tell the label, like, this guy's boring. Can we get someone good to do an interview? Like,
no
Oh yeah, in Europe, the European press tour for Roadrunner. Yeah.
How rude.
You should just start saying like absolutely ridiculous things. I remember the guy, what's the name of that band? The Haunted. He used to say the most ridiculous shit. And the band was like, they were all right. Like, whatever, Peter Dolving or whatever. But he would just be like, you're like, you know what? I hate coffee. And everyone that drinks coffee thinks the earth is flat. And you're like, whoa, dude, how is that guy getting headlines? And he was just saying the dumbest shit. And I loved it. It was great.
So I know I interrupted earlier, but Siobhán, you had a question.
Oh, no, I was just going to ask you what. Yeah, and I'm sorry, my internet is probably bad because I'm hotspotting from my phone, like I said before, tour life. No, I was just going to ask what the last year and a half was like for you, because, you know, you mentioned you obviously built out a lot in your studio there, and I'm just curious to hear how you spent this time and what went on for you.
Most of that time, actually, I was working for Honda for a while as a punching bag, and what? Yeah. I was a service advisor. So, you know, when you go in to get your oil change and you expect to spend $30, and then I'm the guy that has to tell you you need $1,000 worth of brakes. I did that for about a year and a half.
Wow.
And then I was also going back to school to finish my bachelor's in graphic design, and I got that done just a few months ago.
Congratulations!
So I
That's
did
amazing.
all that
fucking amazing.
at the same time.
You should be proud of yourself. Like,
So I was
honestly, that's
busy.
amazing.
I was wicked busy. I did it all.
That's
all that
awesome.
under the line, and so I definitely wasn't bored, if that's what you mean.
No,
and then
no, I figured
And
not,
then meanwhile,
but-
doing these things down here in these
Well,
projects.
when we first
stuff around
started the
house.
show, we one of the things we were talking about was like, how are people taking advantage of their time? Because when COVID first started, I remember everyone saying like, I watched The Sopranos for the 17th time.
Oh,
Whereas like, I actually learned how to sweep pick. Not well. I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I can actually call it that. You know what I mean? Like you see all this behind me, like I tessellated my walls 17 times more, and I got a smoke machine. I got a Corlick drum kit with lights in it and lasers.
You were very
behind
productive
it.
with your time. You had lasers and
but I'm
smoke
saying, I'm with you,
machine.
dude. A nightclub in my basement, and then nobody to come over. Just my one friend, and we can jam to AC/DC, Highway to Hell, over and over as many times as we want. And I realized that I love that more than anything else. And I'm with John on that. Like, just let's drink some beer, smoke some weed, and play with our own smoke machine, and that's all we need. 80s Kiss.
That's all you need. That's all you need. We just
Lick it up.
yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
And so before we move on, I do need to bring it back. You need to tell us about this Twin River incident.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Well, if anyone does know of Cobra Kai, this is probably God. I don't know how long we've been doing that now.
Well, can we set up what it is? So Cobra Kai is like the fucking greatest, my favorite 80s. And listen, Corey's in a very, very unbelievable 80s, and they're different. So like, but he's got a band called Backstage Pass. But Cobra Kai has...
LA's Backstage Pass. You're in Backstage Pass?
Probably not the one you've heard of.
Okay, because there's one out here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
well, either way.
I'm sure there's a lot of bands named
There's probably
Backstage
a lot
Pass.
of bands called
We
Backstage.
wear
There's a lot of
wigs.
people back there,
We
dude.
wear wigs, we play 80s hair metal, we get drunk. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So that's probably the one I'm talking about.
Jason
play out
Foster
here.
used to come to all their shows.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no,
But anyway.
but the point is that your band had Frank Oresti from Fate's Warning on guitar, fucking ridiculous guitars from one of the greatest early prog metal bands, like really set the tone, like never really hit the success level of like some of the other bands, but certainly influenced so many people. And then you have John on lead guitar, who we obviously know went off to do Anthrax, so clearly he was good enough to play in Anthrax. You fucking killing it. And then, you got Mark, by the way, he was born to sing 80s metal. Like, that's it. And like, this dude lives Pizza, Iron Maiden. Actually, that's probably it. Like, Pizza and Iron Maiden.
That's probably it.
And but
Yeah.
that's all you want him to do, because he was put on this planet to like go and play with Ross the Boss and KK Downing and bring the metal as if it was like a religion. Like, you must hear the metal. Like, he's the guy you believe.
Yeah.
And he sang for your band.
Yeah, and let's not forget the drummer, Mike Bartlett, who was on the first 3 All That Remains albums, and
Yeah,
who's also my
kinda
roommate.
good.
He's upstairs, and I'm probably being too loud right now because he's got to go to bed and go to work probably. But
Can he still hear?
that's what I don't know. Maybe he's right upstairs. That band was fun because what we did is we wanted to be like. I think it started because we went out to see our buddy played a Bon Jovi tribute, Jovi out here, and they were telling us how much money they were making a night just going and playing Bon Jovi songs. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
You make
tribute bands, man.
$4,000 tonight playing Bon Jovi songs?
Oh,
Like,
that
holy
tribute
shit.
scene, man.
It's true. Yeah.
So instantly, Frank and John were like, well, let's do this. And then that's how I started playing bass, was because we already had 2 guitar players. So I'm like, I guess I'll play bass. That's how I got tossed into it.
Yeah.
And we just kind of took it from there and turned it into something fun. But we wanted to be not what every other one was doing. We didn't want to put wigs on, do the shtick, or like play everything flawlessly or whatever. We
Well, hold
literally
on.
did it.
You didn't need to, because you have Mark Lopes. Because Mark is the real thing. So we're like Michael Starr, who I love from Steel Panther. I love Steel Panther. But like, their thing is just shtick. When they get off stage, like, Styx is wearing Birkenstocks. You know what I mean? And like, it's an act, but it's a fucking awesome act. Mark is metal. Like when literally, the Judas Priest is asking you if you're metal. They're asking Mark Lopes to his face, is he metal? And he's saying to an entire crowd, like Freddie Mercury style, that he's metal. So that's the difference. And then John he's also metal. Like, he's a real metal guy. Like, he's sitting there drinking like beers, fucking smashing him back. And you're like, how does that guy shred so hard?
That's what we tried to do. If you want the true 80s experience, we wanted to do it like that live Guns N' Roses show from the Ritz, where it was a total disaster. Like, Slash dropped his pick and spent like 30 seconds trying to pick it up, and all this, they were just completely shit-faced. We did that on purpose. We tried to get as drunk as we could while we played to see if we could get through the gig. That was part of the shtick. I mean, we tried to do, like, keep it together somewhat, but there was no stopping.
But how do you find that balance of like just enough but not too much, where it's a total disaster?
There have been shows that we did not finish, and I didn't think we would get paid, and the promoter's like, "That's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Here's extra money," even though we stopped like 45 minutes.
Please give us an example of this.
That would be JJ's Tavern in Florence. That's exactly what happened. John, he threw his guitar across the floor, still plugged in, all the way across the other end of the bar, right back to the bar, like slammed down a shot, and just started making out with some random chick or something. Like, it was fucking nuts. I was like, dude, that's fucking awesome. And then Mark couldn't even talk at that point of that show, and Frank, Mike, and I are kind of up there on the stage, still trying to play, and we're looking at each other. I was like, do we even bother? Like, we keep going, and eventually we just stopped, and we're just like, all right. I'm looking at the poor promoter. He's like, that was the most rock and roll thing I've ever seen in my life. But there are so many other examples of shit like that. That we just, sometimes Twin River.
Hold on. Can we just say first off that Rhode Island is a disgusting place? So to be able to be kicked out of Rhode Island is fucked up, dude. Let's just start there. So people who haven't been to Rhode Island, it's dumpy. Like, if you walk around Providence,
if
and you
anyone
don't see
here
a
is
guy
listening
puking,
from Rhode Island,
they'll probably be like,
Ben's
accurate. Yeah, poopcenters.com. But listen, you go there and you can see people. I saw a dude like right outside. I want to say it was like a Faith No More show. Take a giant dump in the middle of the road, like in Providence, and every street's one way. So like, to be kicked out of Twin Rivers is a feat. So continue.
Well, Whitesnake was playing there in the arena that night. And
here we go again.
They called us to play in the little bar just outside the door there where the queue line's up, to kind of warm people up. So this was at 4 p.m. So all of the let's say the non-loud music people were gambling and doing things, and we break right into the Trooper and Still the Night, and we're doing all this stuff. It was a record complaint, they told us, as far as noise. In 15 seconds, they got their first noise complaint. They said that was a record. They let us get through the first set. We were supposed to play a second set. And they're like, you know what, guys? No, you're all done. We can't. You guys got to go. We thought they were going to shut us down. All the suits are around, watching. There's one guy with a walker up on the balcony, put it in the air. It's like, ah! It was funny, but it was.
I can imagine Mark getting off stage and be like, dude, wasn't that fucking awesome?
And we weren't loud. We especially when we play casinos, you got to know that. You keep the dB level low. You just do something, but people just didn't like it. So they just complain. And then we just got shut off, and that was it. Yeah. So that's what Cobra Kai did. We did everything ridiculous on purpose.
Yeah, it's very rock and roll. It's on brand.
Well, it made it easy too, because you didn't have to worry about oh my God, am I going to mess that part up? Because it didn't matter. Because if you did, it was we're supposed to.
Ball to the wall. Not even the right song. Ball to the wall.
I would hand the bass off to whoever was in the front row. This song? No? All right, whatever. You're playing it anyway, and go take a piss in the middle of the tune. Things like that. It was that.
Sounds like we all should be doing this.
Maybe we need to start a band.
Yes, I'm sure it is.
Oh my God, dude! I could see why you play with so many amazing. Okay, so
it was a good time, and I hope that we do more shows. We haven't, obviously, it's COVID, and we haven't really talked about it yet because we haven't had time because we've been so busy with other stuff. But I'm sure we'll do another show again. I just don't know when.
I gotta be honest with you.
sounds so
I
fun.
love Mark, and he's like, such an amazing talent. From again, another metal dude from this, the New England area, just killing it. And it's great too because he's a guy that went from playing clubs and stuff to playing with Ross the Boss and like doing this Man of War thing, where it's like, oh man, if there was ever a dude in the world that was meant to do that. That was like Mark. He was like literally designed on a computer, like like weird science.
It was like weird science, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like, we need a Mark Lopes. We need a guy who can hit a high E over C and still do it completely. But the thing is, I can also, if you know Mark, which I love Mark, and I actually played my first show with him over 10 years ago. Like he came and played Campanelli Stadium with me, and we played Cowboys from Hell, and he literally. I can just imagine him doing that gig. He probably the whole time, like, not only owned it, but thought, like, that's what he should have been doing. And everyone that didn't like it, he probably thought he was schooling them. Like, that's probably what went through his head. Was literally like, you need some fucking Flight of the Bumblebee. Like, you need
but
balls to the wall.
that's a sign of a pro, right? It doesn't matter what the reaction.
Oh, he doesn't give
you
any
go out
fucks.
there, you believe your craft, you do it as well as
and
you can.
And he'd heckle you for it. Like, why are you singing the words? It's just balls to the wall. It's just balls to the wall. Why are you singing the words? I
got to do that song with Udo in Europe. That was awesome.
Oh my god, that really is balls to the wall.
The tour I never got paid for. Yeah, that was good.
Whoa, what?
Ooh, what's the story behind that?
Oh, let's talk about this because the guy's in jail and they don't care what he thinks.
I thought Lou Pearlman was dead.
Well, there's a character by the name of Gabe Reed. He did a tour called Metal All Stars back in 2014 that I was a part of. John was a part of. Brian was a part of. And it was like a core band with different singers throughout the night. And all the plans fell apart. Originally, it was supposed to be Phil Anselmo and Vince Neil and Max Cavalera, Joey Belladonna, Udo. Then it was, as it was going, it just slowly fell apart. People stopped flaking, and promises didn't happen and whatever. It got to the point where I'm very much abbreviating here, but the night before the tour started, it was Jason Todd. He was being shined down. We had talked and like, well, are you going to go? So did you get your money? Did you deposit anything? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, not yet. So apparently this guy sent a bunch of deposits around literally the night before the flights were supposed to leave to go to Romania. And and showed up and I talked to him. He was like, oh yeah, well, we'll just, all right, here's a couple $1,000 and I'll give you the rest when the tour's over. And okay, fine. They had me playing bass in the whole thing, except for ZAKK WYLDE's set. I did every other set, which was fun. I had a great time. And a lot of great people, but never got the rest of my money. I think everyone else did, or most people did. Somehow he ended up in jail for something else, from international wire fraud or some shit. I don't know. Something like that.
Related.
Total fucking scumbag. Anyway, promised me all this stuff. Never got it. So yeah, I basically did a 3-week tour for free.
Oh my god!
But it was a lot of fun though. I mean, it was we made the best of it. But shows got canceled along the way. We were stuck in Istanbul for a week. Like all kinds of things.
Whoa,
happened.
man! Like you're stuck in it. What's it like to be on?
Yeah,
a
what
tour
do you do in Istanbul
first off,
for a week?
You realize like you're financing this yourself right now. You're in fucking Istanbul, not
I kind of made the
Constantinople.
best of it. I went to a couple of museums with the tour managers. I ate a lot of cool street food. I mean, I did stuff. But normally you're just stuck in a hotel and you're sitting around waiting.
So
And,
was it almost a blessing in disguise?
I don't know. I don't know if
I think not getting paid for a tour is never a blessing in disguise.
No,
it just sucks.
I mean, but the shows were killer. And then you're like, so the very first one was sold out. It was like 12,000 people or something, and we were supposed to do a Pantera set with Phil Anselmo, and they didn't tell anybody until after ZAKK WYLDE was done that he didn't show up.
Oh my god!
So now you've got 10,000 people in Romania chanting Pantera, and the bodyguards are like, "Lock yourselves in the dressing room. I'll let you know when it's safe to come out." And that's what we did. And then, so the next night, word got out on the internet that Phil wasn't there on the tour. And then same thing kind of happened with Vince Neil. I was like, where's Vince Neil? Didn't show up. Somehow, I guess, missed a flight or something. And then tried to book him in the next one. Oh, he's going to be in Belarus. We're not going to Belarus if Vince Neil didn't show up because he's closing this thing. Oh, he'll be there. He's at the airport. He'll be there. We get to Belarus. Yeah, Vince isn't here.
Oh my God.
It was one of those. It was like no surprises, really. None. No surprises. I will say the greatest thing that came out of that whole thing was that nickname for me of Manshark came out of that. And I think it was just part John, part ZAKK WYLDE on a bus because we were supposed to fly from Bulgaria to Romania. And that didn't happen because all the flights fell through. I think the guy didn't have the tickets. Imagine that. So we all ended up on this charter bus. And at this point, Zach is sober and he just, drinks like 80 cups of coffee every day. So, and it was like a 6-hour comedy show overnight. And they had spelled my name wrong on the merchandise. They spelled like Banchard or something. It was like, Banchard, what is this? Banchard, what the fuck is this? And it just kind of stuck. And then before I knew it, like Max Kepler called me Manshark on the stage. Like, on the base, the Manshark. And it just kind of like, it just stuck. And I thought about it and I said, well,
oh man,
I don't really have like a name for like the, managing things or whatever I'm doing. And I was like, screw it, I roll with it. Right. So it just kind of stuck. That's where that came from. Anyway,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So ZAKK WYLDE's really like that all the time, because I see him on his channel
all the time. There was one show, and this is where the best advice ever came that I've ever gotten from any doctor, Dr. ZAKK, but any doctor. I was really sick in Latvia and barely got through the set, ready to pass out. They brought me the EMTs and they checked my blood pressure and all this stuff. And they're like, you need to go to your hotel right now or you're going to have a heart attack. And I'm like, all right. Your blood pressure is wicked high. So I did that. Barely got through the gig, did the gig. So in the next morning in the lobby, it's about 6 a.m. flying to wherever the hell we were flying to next. I'm not really sure where. I don't remember. And he goes, how you feeling, bro? I said, well, better. Got some sleep, felt pretty good. He goes, tell you what you're going to do. You got to pound 2 beers, jerk off, and listen to Houses of Holy. You're going to be fine. Like, talk about a prescription. Like, yes. And this is,
my God.
And I can't even process this at this point because it's 6 a.m. I was sick the night before. I've been just waking up. I haven't had a coffee yet, and I can't even speak if I don't have a coffee yet. And I was like, oh my God, what did I just hear? Like, what am I doing?
Did you listen to Zeppelin?
I didn't take his advice yet.
Okay.
But next time I'm very ill, I'm gonna have to remember that story.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like they say that like for any sort of gig, there's like the triangle, and it's either gonna be a good gig, good pay, or good hang, right? And it seems like even though you get screwed on the pay for like that tour,
it was a great hang. Everybody on that tour was awesome.
So
Ross Boss was on that one.
Positive about it, right?
Belladonna was on that one. I mean, I met a lot of great people. Cobra Page was on that. She's super sweet. I mean, everyone was really, really cool.
That's amazing.
And the shows were a lot of fun, and it was awesome. Udo Dirkschneider to play, those songs with him. It was just awesome. I'm like, wow. I'm playing balls at a wall with Udo in front of 10,000 people in Russia. This is awesome. Like, it's one of those things that.
Well, I mean, is that like really catharsis?
You could never make that up, but it happened.
Yeah, right.
Is that a really cathartic moment for you, though, for real? I mean, on like a very philosophical level, because, look, we've learned that you said it multiple times. It's smoke and mirrors, right?
Yeah,
and like every time you get to a different echelon, you're like, oh, you think that they're making it, and all it is just a new set of problems. So it, like the question then becomes, what makes you happy? And for me, I feel like if I was in Russia playing balls to the wall, like I feel like that might be happiness. That might be just thinking of the color white and not hearing the tinnitus all the time.
Well, unfortunately, it's like one of those things with that tour, knowing what I was promised as far as in my contract. Spending all that time learning all those tunes is like 4 hours of material, and not having any other income coming in, and doing that. Like a lot of my utility bills and things ended up on credit cards. And then when the cards, I was like, well, when I get the check, I'll just pay the cards off. Well, the check never came. So that puts you $50,000 in credit debt. And then how do you dig yourself out? And that's the thing. It's
basically fuck that guy.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's like the Fire Fest.
Yeah.
Actually, I did an interview with Rolling Stone about him and about that whole thing. And I told him everything. I sent him my contract. I said, you want to see all of it? I've got nothing to hide. I'm not lying here. He did send me a deposit of a little bit of what he owed me.
Yeah.
Never the rest.
Oh my God, dude.
Craziness.
Not saying I didn't get paid anything. He sent me a very small deposit just to get my ass on the plane, and probably knew right then and there he was going to screw me over anyway.
Wow. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. And the thing is that people are, and all people know in Romania is that Phil Anselmo didn't show up to play Pantera.
Well, they only found that out when they wanted him to come out. And we thought, like, during the day, we're like, oh shit, Phil's not here. But when we started hearing them chant Pantera, like, they didn't tell them.
Oh my God.
Oh no. This is not going to go well.
Insanity. Yeah. All right. Well, we have about 15, 20 minutes left. Mm-hmm. I definitely want to take some time to talk about your newest project, Living Wreckage. This, yes, there it is. You got it right there. How did this band come about?
Well, it was some stuff that John had around for a long time. It's even some rehashed Shadows Fall riffs and some other stuff he was writing, because he doesn't really write anything really for Anthrax, just like writes leads and stuff. So it's, those guys kind of take care of the lion's share of that. And he's always been a songwriter. He's always wanted to write some stuff. So these songs have been around for a couple of years, some of them. Slowly, and then just finding the right people to play with. And the guy who's playing drums, John Morency, right now, who's also in Let Us Pray with Mark Lopes. He actually plays.
By the way, just so you know, John and I jam all the time. He and I did a cover of Pressure from Billy Joel that no one's heard yet, because we do more songs that we don't release than anybody else.
I love that song. I always wanted to do a metal version of that song.
Dude, first off, that song is the most metal song. I have to redo it because we didn't tempo map it, and it's not consistent because he was on cocaine when he did it, so it's a little bit awkward. And John did his best. He did of course his fucking so everyone knows, John Morency, who plays drums in Living Wreckage, is actually the guitarist in Let Us Pray, and he's just a musical savant. I mean, a savant. He'll send you his 15-minute Nintendo mix that he played 39 instruments on. He's like, here's my Ravi Shankar part. Yeah.
He's guitar for Cobra Kai after.
Is he really?
Yeah.
God.
Last little bit. Yep. But so we didn't even know he played drums. And John heard him doing some drums on this shit. He's like,
I didn't actually until John and Danae told me. Yeah.
So he started playing with him. And at the time, I tinkered a little bit, even playing guitar with it. And then I got busy with the school thing and with work and stuff. I didn't have too much time to bang around. So he suggested Matt LeBreton, who was in Downpour with Brian Fair at one point. And they play really well off each other. And the idea there is they wanted to have leads they could trade off back and forth. And as we talked about in the last episode, I don't do solos. That's just not my thing. I'm a rhythm guy. That's what, hold down the fort. So it was play bass. All right. I mean, it's familiar now. Let's do it, and I'm trying not to just play the guitar bass, I'm trying to actually write bass lines, right, with the drums, be rhythm section, that's what it's, that to me was most important with doing this, is I really spent a lot of time, and I did that with the Act of Defiance stuff. I spent a lot of time to make sure I was doing that too, and not just playing the 4-string guitar. I wanted to.
Well, how is it playing bass behind someone like Chris Broderick? Because I imagine Chris Broderick's not going to let you just play guitar behind him, because that's useless.
Well, right. Well, with that, I had to fill in a lot of space because it was a one guitar band too. So there was, live, there were no other rhythm tracks back there. I had to fill in a lot of space there. So I learned a lot doing that. I was forced to. I was forced to find the notes to play off the other notes, but still staying tight with the drums, which is, always the most important thing with bass too. Is they're one and the same. So I tried to do that here with Wreckage too. And I think it's turned out pretty well so far. And hopefully we can do a lot more with it. We just started playing shows. We've only played about 4 or 5 shows at this point. But we've got stuff booked pretty much every weekend for quite a bit, and we're going for as much as we can.
How do you think people are responding to the shows? And
it's been better than I thought. It's been a lot better than I thought, to be quite honest, because brand new band, it doesn't matter who's in it. No one's going to go. I mean, we saw it with Active Defiance. It's like, oh, I got half a Megadeth and Shadows Fall. All right, cool. Go to Des Moines, Iowa, and there's 3 people paid,
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
Actually, that show was 2 people paid in Des Moines, Iowa. 2.
Well, I mean,
but they each bought $120 worth of merch, so it worked out okay.
It's weird you say that, because I've been hearing more about how many seats you sell, because you can have people like, again, a guy like Bumblefoot, plays with Sons of Apollo. He plays with the Winery Dogs. He plays obviously played in Guns N' Roses, and then like I've seen him play to 3 people, and it's like the guy from Guns N' Roses who has a double neck guitar, and he's like one of the greatest guitarists in the entire fucking world. And then meanwhile, you could see Lil Jon spin. Or like fucking Pauly D from fucking MTV.
Sure.
And he's doing like the main room at the MGM or something like that, dude, selling out $75 tickets. And you're like, are you fucking shitting me? And dude, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. In fact, I saw Rammstein. They did like a stadium tour. And like, listen, I know Rammstein's like a big deal, but like, they play fucking sellout stadiums? Like, what the fuck? So, like, that's the thing that blows my mind, is like, there's a difference between like who you know and then like who actually shows up to the show. Like, are you serious?
Right. Well, and that's where the smoke and mirrors come in, and that's where the marketing comes in, and how it's presented. It's not even so much what the product is; it's how the product is packaged and how it's sold. And that's what you're seeing in the mainstream right now. But metal and stuff has never really been part of the mainstream. It's always been kind of an outcast. If you want to maybe include the 80s hair era in that, maybe you could say that. But for the most part, I mean, you weren't seeing, Iron Maiden on MTV, TRL or whatever. You weren't seeing these things. You had to seek this stuff out. You had to look for it. You had to find it. You had to love it. And that's why those fans are the best fans out there. And that's why they stick around with you and discover other things that aren't just forced down their throat.
Right.
And
they're coming for the music, in other words,
right,
more so
right.
than
It's
just the appeal of the marketing and the branding and all of that.
Yeah. It can look like a nice yellow banana on the outside. You peel it, it's brown. You're not going to want to eat it, right? So it doesn't matter what the packaging looks like.
Are we on Naked and Afraid? Because if you're on Naked and Afraid, I feel like as long as it's edible.
No, we're not. No. So you
after that comment, I'm definitely afraid.
As you should be.
Maybe I shouldn't invite you to my house anymore.
But but you were so nice, man. You got a lot of amps.
I do.
You talked about how you're working with at least one band. I don't know if it was more than one band, as in a kind of a management.
Carnivora, yeah.
Mighty Carnivora.
Is that so? When you're doing something from that perspective in this current musical environment, what are you saying? What is your guidance for a band in a situation right now?
Be different. Stand out. Do what you want to do. Don't do what they expect you to do or what they want, because now you're already 2 steps behind because it's already out there. You want to be the one to kick the door open, or at least be the one right behind it. You don't want to be the last one through, because you know what, that other door is coming real close behind you. It's going to push you out of the way. So just do you and be happy with it. Because like I said, earlier, like, you got to play these songs every night on stage. You have to be happy with them too, because if you're bored playing those tunes, the crowd's going to know that you're bored. They just are.
Well, energy transfer.
And they're not going to have a good time. And they're not going to do it. So if you sell it like you mean it, you love it. You think Slayer wanted to play Rain and Blood every night? Of course not. But they sold it because they knew they had to. And the crowd,
you mean like versus Vince Neil
just
that.
If they were just like, oh, here, Rain and Blood, it's gone. Like you could tell if they were faking it, and they're not. Even if they were faking it, they didn't show it, because you got to play like part actor there. You got to be like this is what they want. Let's give it to them. Let's give it to them as hard as we can. And they keep coming back for more if you do that.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. I totally agree with that. At least being on the tour that I'm on right now, it's still relatively unusual to be a violinist in like the rock and roll metal scene, let's say.
Of course.
And so many people have asked me that, it's like, how did you end up in this? And I'm like, I don't know, but I was just always breaking the rules in classical music, and so it just kind of happened organically.
You're a happy accident.
Yeah, not really though, but that's great advice.
Because if everyone just follows the rules, you're all.
It's a great riff from ZAKK WYLDE. Breaking all the rules, breaking all the rules.
Well, more so not even for your goal to be breaking the rules, but just to do what feels authentic to you, regardless of what the community around you is making you feel you have to do. Or it's just like writing music for radio or whatever. You've got to do what you have to do it for you. Yeah. You know, you really do. You're so right. I mean, people forget that musicians should be able to enjoy their careers. It's not all about doing what you're supposed to do for the people. That's part of it. But you have to get up and play that music and live that every day.
I think your bus just started.
Oh, it definitely did. we are definitely rolling right now. You can't even see out the window, but
nice.
Sorry if it's loud.
That's what I think. It's like if you don't do it for you, it's just not going to be authentic, and you're not going to like it yourself down the road. And you're going to be stuck with it forever, because especially once it's recorded, once it's out there, with all the internet on it, it's never going away.
So what are you saying about Living Wreckage though? Like, because I mean, you guys, like, when I heard it, okay, so like my impression of it was like it was a really nice, refreshing meld of like the metal and like I would say hard rock that like a lot of people call classic rock now, that like we grew up like as alternative, but really was just metal, and like with tons of fucking melody. And you know, I guess, you know, knowing what you know and being as masochistic as you are, knowing how terribly fruitless the music industry is, what are you saying with Living Wreckage? And I guess what's the hope and plan? You know, being in a band, is it still like that delusional we're going to take over the world? But like, you know, are we?
I would like to try. I mean, if you don't try, you'll never know, right? And you know, we're happy with it, and we feel that it's a little bit different, because, you know, a lot of we've talked about like the metalcore stuff. Where now, like when we were doing it in, you know, the mid '90s or whatever, mid late '90s, it was new, it was fresh, it was different, and now there are 1,000 clones and copies, and they start to get all washed out and all sound like, you know, like whatever. So like, well, let's start over. So what we're doing is trying to get that mix of like fill that void that was left with like Skid Row and Pantera. So like you can have some really heavy stuff, but with like some really nice melodic singing, and again, no real barrier about what you can and can't do.
Well, that's what happens when Phil Anselmo is like in vulgar display of power mode, because he hit those notes like crazy. But it's like the further he got, like the more rough his voice. He gargled like razor blades, which was awesome, because it's like different levels of Phil was cool. But like back in the day when he was singing Cemetery Gates and he was matching dime squealy squeals, like that was. I mean, it was awesome, because I had heard I think Far Beyond Driven before I had heard Cowboys from Hell. And I remember thinking to myself, wait a minute, that dude could sing like the dude from fucking, hit those notes like Yngwie Malmsteen style. Like, are you shitting me? And meanwhile, like, knowing he could do that, then I think to myself, are they really getting like heavier? Like, that was the thing. It's like, if you have that voice, why did you scream? But then again, you listen to those albums and they're all like a perfect succession.
Because
like
it's right for the part. I mean, just because you have the voice and you can sing clean doesn't mean that the part calls for it. You have to do what's right for the part, right for the song, which just brings me back to one of the first things that I ever said. It's like, play for the song, not for yourself. You can tell when a song is just about someone showing off, like, look how fast I can play, or look how many notes I can hit. It doesn't. It's not memorable. It doesn't stick with you. But even if something is not particularly virtuosic, if the song is well written, the song is well put together, that lasts a lot longer.
Right on. Words of wisdom. People might actually learn something from this episode.
I know, yeah.
I should start taking my own advice.
I've been relying on Siobhán being so virtuosic. I've been relying on Siobhán being so virtuosic that I didn't have to be a good songwriter. That I'd just be like, I'm just going to put crazy strings over it. Fucking, they'll be like, oh, he's genius. Him and his brother, they're twins. They're great. And meanwhile, I'm just like, get that fucking girl to play 5,000 layers of strings. He's great. Meanwhile, her tiger mom's like, get back to work.
Well, if you want to hear all those, and Siobhán's like internet is glitchy and she's going,
I'm sorry,
all right.
and things are falling all over the place like a cello.
She's in New Mexico. She's like cooking fucking
we're
crystal meth.
bringing this to a close either way. But if you want to hear Siobhán's phenomenal strings, and if you want to hear Matt's epic heavy riffs on Lost Symphony, which you can hear on Chapter Dos 2, the song is Murder
with Jimmy
Crows.
Bell, by the way, who was John Dene's guitar teacher.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
not
Jimmy
only
Bell.
so not only do we have Matt Bachand and John from Shadows Fall reunited. Like, is it the first time you guys play guitar together again since Shadows?
Guitar, probably, yeah. Because
Well, that was what we wanted
We've been
to
playing
do.
bass with like other
That's
bands.
the
but
headline, man. We'll
guitar,
take it.
yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm serious. That was what I was
But
thinking
we've
to
always
myself.
been playing together regardless of what
No,
it is.
I
The
know,
thing-
but in
he
your
lives
basement
3 minutes
drinking
away from me
beers.
and we hang out every day. It's
Right.
like that never stopped.
But for the public, that's what I wanted to do. Is I said to them, and we tried getting Chris Broderick, and like, I mean, God bless him, he was too busy with Jeff Loomis. I really wanted to do a Nevermore thing. We were so close to it, but have a U2 play, and then of course Jimmy Bell, who like everybody knows from the scene, from this area, is like the most disgusting and humble, nice guy on the planet who plays for Autograph now. Like, but he does, in my opinion, probably one of the greatest solo. I'll say it, like, not because it has anything to do with my writing, because I'm terrible, but his guitar playing on that is so outrageous that it almost usurps everything else.
Yeah, we'll put a link to the song in the description of this episode.
Jimmy Bell is. And so is John Dene, and so is Matt, because bringing some Shadows Fall back together, and may I add, it was also Siobhán's first violin solo with Lost Symphony.
Really? Sweet.
We were like, by the second album, we're like, we should probably throw her a bone. She's pretty good. Then she shreds this solo, and then like the third record, our management was like, you should probably let her do more. And everyone's like, this record's like really symphonic. It's like, well, she's technically the best in the band. So.
Yeah. It's also the first time you let the bassist have a guitar solo in a song on that track as well. So I appreciate that.
But you actually played really, really well, which is depressing because like I actually consider myself a guitarist before a bass player, but you play guitar better than I play bass. So that like sort of annoys me.
Oh, that makes me
And
happy
you
to
solo more on my project, Cory, since we've been in like 75. Like this one's mine, and like he solos more than I do on my own fucking record. And he's the bass player, which just
welcome.
makes me a total bitch. So.
And on that note, you guys have been 2020'd. Check out Living Wreckage. Check out is the
Shadows
show sold
Fall
out?
tickets available? Yeah.
Are they still available?
There are like 200 tickets left.
Okay, so
almost
on that.
not.
get
So
on
go
that
buy them.
ASAP.
Go
Check
buy
out-
them.
Do I need to buy them, or can I just show up the door and be like,
December
I'm friends with Manshark
Well, yeah, no.
and Scott Lee?
That's the one thing that we said is it's a no comp deal. No,
I'm fucking
my
with you,
mom's
dude.
gonna buy a ticket.
Oh
That's how
no,
it works.
dude! Listen, that's the other thing that people like. Let's leave them with this. Support your fucking bands, dude. Like
Yeah.
I hate it. Like, hey, can you give me a free copy of your CD? Can you give me a free copy? As I asked Siobhán.
Ben, that's all you do.
Yeah, but
You ask people for books.
I asked
CDs.
Mark Lopes for a copy of Let Us Pray, but I played fucking keyboards on it, and I still don't have one. Mark Lopes, even 2020.
Oh my God.
And Living Wreckage. Now,
Yes.
livingwreckage.com. You can get all info there. It'll take you to all the stuff we're doing. We're playing lots of little small hole in the wall dive bar places
Love
that
it.
it's a blast. And hopefully we'll have the album up by the end of the year is what I hope. The 3-song EP will be available September 1st.
Well, let us know when it is, and we'll make sure we post about it. And we'll let you guys, we'll let
Sounds
everyone
great.
listening know. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you so
Look
much,
forward to
dude.
seeing you guys real
Thank
soon.
you for playing on Lost Symphony, man. Like honestly,
Oh,
and
thanks for having me. If you want to do it again, let
Thank
me know.
you so much.
And he actually
Awesome.
recorded it too, because that's different. Because like John doesn't even know how to press record. Like I know because I taught him how to
Oh,
press
yeah, we
record.
tried to hear. Yeah.
So like, but Matt did a really, really, really good job like getting the best out of John, because like that's like sometimes people that don't know how to play, like do the production side, are amazing guitarists, but then they're like, but how do you actually make it go in the computer? And Matt's the guy that knows how to get that out of a guy like John, and he really brought it home. No, dude, you guys did a great job.
Well, we've
because
been
your
playing
production
together
skills-
for almost 30 years, so we,
But still,
we
like,
know each
I
other pretty well at
appreciate
this
it.
point.
I
know how to-
appreciate you, Matt.
how to make it work.
Man Shark.
Alrighty, thanks so much, guys.
Now for the third ending. Bye.
Because I got a second chance. I got this opportunity to tour with Alice again. And I think since that 2012 tour, going back out with Alice, and our first tour was with Iron Maiden, and that was playing these huge amphitheaters all across the U.S. That really put things in perspective for me about, okay, know my role, what I can do as a support, And at the end of the day, the most important thing we can do is play the songs in the same spirit that whatever band Alice had put together on those albums, we play with that song with that same spirit. That's why in some senses, we are a cover band. We just have the luxury of having the original singer.